Kirit is, if you're talking in terms of archetypes, Kirit is the archetypal, faithful manservant. He is Raja's right-hand man, and he would live for him and die for him. He's just always there, completely reliable, completely devoted. I think in quite a sort of Indian sense of the kind of, India's much more comfortable with the idea of servants. He's not a servant, he's the head waiter in the restaurant, but he will sober Raja up when he's drunk, and he will go and do his shopping for him, and he will pick up his son if he's got drunk in town, or he'll do anything for Raja, and he will stick by Raja through thick and thin. Well, we did a table read of it last summer, so that was about 10 months ago, and I loved it, and I loved its humour, and I loved its gentleness, and I loved the fact that it was a story about the Asian community that wasn't issue-based. It was just about people. Very sweet, story that was very emotionally truthful. Amit is great because Amit is one of the least flappable people I've ever met. He's just like, most directors I've ever worked with, on a 4 or 5 week shoot, you will see them at some point looking a bit stressed, maybe a bit snappy some days, or just, frustrated. But Amit, I've not seen him anything less than calm, collected, having fun. I'm sure he's feeling differently inside. But we had the day when we were shooting the Holi scenes, and there was a lot of paint powder going up in the air, and it looked beautiful. But the forecast that day was for rain, and I said to him, it's going to be a bit stressful if it rains. He went, no, we'll just make something else. It'll be a different thing, and we'll find a way to make it look great. And it didn't rain, and I think he's the sort of person that good things happen to him because he's not neurotic about it. I try and prepare before the day of filming because I don't like to be learning lines and things just before. So I'll be really prepared before. I will have rehearsed the scene in my room or wherever I am, and I will have learnt lines, hopefully. And so on the day, I like to be quite relaxed, and so you can just be chatting to people. You don't have to be in a corner, unless it's very, very high emotion. And then the time I like to be really ready is just because everyone's fussing around their lighting, and there's checks, makeup checks and costume checks, and I like to just sort of be part of that and chatting to people and not having to be obsessed with what I'm going to do. And then the time when I feel is my time is the time when they say that the camera's running, and then you've got 30 seconds when the first says camera's rolling, they do the clapperboard, and then you've got silence, and then they say action. And that's your time. That's my time when I like to think, okay, now where am I? Who am I? Who am I with? How am I prepared? And if you're well prepared beforehand, that's the time. That's the best time, because it's the time when no one's coming up to you and powdering your nose, or adjusting your costume, or giving you last-minute direction, or saying, can you hit that mark over there? That's the time to really get into your space. People should see this film because A, it's funny. B, it's a human story. So it's about brothers and fathers and daughters, and it's not specific to the Asian community. It's universal. It's very universal. It's got some great direction, beautifully lit. It's got some fantastic actors in it. It's a lovely script, so you'll have a very happy experience. I love the scene where Raj is drunk and we have to go and sober him up, myself and Amara, because I knew that Harish, when I knew Harish was playing the part, would play it brilliantly, and so he did. But I also love the scene where the two brothers have a scrap with Rak Sharma, the villain of the piece. he's an artist, you know. When you look at the monitor, you just see everything looks beautiful the way he lights it, and so you just think, you know, that's one thing I don't have to think about, you know, because it's going to look amazing. And the guy's just made a million amazing films. So you look at his CV and you go, oh, that amazing film, and that amazing film, and that amazing film. So it's just a pleasure to watch him work. Amara's gorgeous, and Amara is, you know, a rising star. She's going to be. We're going to be seeing a lot more of her. She's just played the lead with Harish in this other film called All in Good Time, and she's delightful. And she's one of these young actors who has learnt properly how to behave. She's incredibly inclusive. New people on set, she welcomes them. She wants to have everyone included. She doesn't like to have it cliquey. And that, you know, in my opinion, is a leading actor's role, and she does it very well. Harish is just a legend, and so it's hilarious. And I was slightly nervous coming to work with him because all my scenes are with him, and I'm his right-hand man in the film. And so, if he had been a difficult leading actor, it would have been a bit more. It would have been a minefield, basically, trying to do good work and work with him. But he's adorable, and he is incredibly warm and funny. And I could listen to his stories all day. He's done a million films. I mean, he's literally done, I don't know, he must have done over 100 movies. So the guy knows what he's talking about. It's very easy to work with him because he always knows where the camera is, where the lights are. He knows what looks best. If we go, should we try this? He goes, I think we should try this. And you know that his way is going to be the best. He's technically unbelievable. You can ask him to do anything and he will do it. He's not precious. He makes suggestions, but if Amit makes different suggestions, he goes with the director because he says, it's not my job to direct the film, it's his job to direct the film. I don't speak Hindi, and I was a bit worried because I had some Hindi scenes with him, and I said to him on the first day, I don't speak Hindi, and he went, don't worry, we will look after you. And then after the first Hindi scene, he said, he's very good at Hindi, I think we should do all his lines in Hindi. So he's just great. So Mania, our amazing makeup lady, rang me and said, do you have any photos of you 20 years ago? And so I had a still from something I did 20 years ago where I had a lot of curly hair, sadly. And I sent it to her and she laughed a lot and she went, right, we're going to make you look like that. And of course, so she did it to everyone. All of us had these kind of hilarious wigs and hairdos and facial hair for actually what is a very, very quick flashback in the film. But we did have lots of fun that day. We felt like we were in some kind of 70s homage, and we took lots of snaps of each other and laughed a lot. You know, Amit was born and bred here. He grew up on the Belgrave Road. His mum runs a restaurant on the Belgrave Road. So he's incredibly loyal to this area, and he really has authentically set it in here. We've not just plonked it on a town. It's very much set within Leicester. It mentions places in Leicester. It's all filmed on location. And we have the brilliant Rashi, who is fantastic. She's from the community. She gets all the local community involved, being supporting artists. And we've had loads of support. We had a Holi Festival. We had a whole kind of band coming through, and everyone's been very supportive. And I'm hoping when they watch it that they will feel that the community is very warmly represented. The recreation of the Holi Festival was brilliant because they have lots of people who what happens in the Holi Festival is there's a lot of paint is thrown around at everyone, and it's very joyous and colourful. And they managed to get loads of the community to come along and recreate it. I think we recreated it like 2 weeks after the actual event. So it was like it was just happening again, and so many people showed up and really took part and got involved with it. And it was very heartwarming to see because they just were doing it because they wanted to support the film, you know. What I love about being on a film set is that you learn so much. So like I've learned loads from you about New Zealand, your work, how those cameras work. You learn from the drivers, you learn from everyone. And if you just sit in your trailer and look at your script, then you've missed out on half the experience. For me, half the experience of filming is meeting a group of people you've never met before and going, oh, what's happening in your life? And film is brilliant for that because you sit around for hours doing nothing, waiting for them to light or set the camera up or do whatever. And so you've got time to chat and get to know people. And I mean, I think as an actor, it's important to get to know lots of people because you learn, you see different people, the way they operate, what they're like physically. And it's just fun. And, you know, I think the days when I feel rough, if I haven't had enough sleep or had a drink the night before or I'm a bit worried because I've got lots of lines or whatever, those are the days in particular to make an effort to smile and to be jolly and to chat to people because that's what gets you through a day like that. It was like they were making a TV show of this cooking competition. It looked incredible. The set was perfect. And what the audience won't see, but I saw, is that there's 4 counters. I think it was 4 counters where all the rival teams are cooking, maybe 5. And they've got a fridge full of food behind them that you can see. But if you go behind the counter, which I don't think the camera will at any point, there's racks of spices and dal and beans and everything behind this counter like it's set up for the real competition. And no one's going to see that. I mean, they're going to get some bits and bobs out, but it's fully stacked, each one. They've recreated it brilliantly. It looks fantastic. The People Centre is a brilliant little centre because you've got a proper little auditorium there. So it's like being on Can't Cook, Won't Cook or whatever one of those shows are. It's absolutely authentic. It's brilliant. My favourite scene so far has been, I think, I've got 2. There was one where Tom's character, Mark, appears for the first time in the restaurant and Raja and Kirit think he is a health inspector and we had to sort of go out and check him out. And that was loads of fun to shoot and the 3 of us had a really fun time doing that. And my other favourite scene is where Kirit and Raja talk about having to let your children live their own lives. And Raja is telling Kirit that he might have preferred an Indian son-in-law, but he just wants his daughter to be happy. And it was a very moving little scene, and Harish plays things like that beautifully. Well, in this film you see that it's all about food and the family environment. And I think, you know, I've got 2 little kids and I think eating together is you know, it's a sacrament really. And so people who don't eat together and sit on the sofa and at different times of day and just watch the telly with a tray on their laps are missing out, I think, you know. I think sitting around a table and eating and talking is as old as humanity. And, you know, the Indian community knows how to do that. I think it shows the value of family, and I think it shows the value of family relationships, even when family disagree and family have different views on life. If you can all come together, then it shows how rich that life can be. And I think the Asian community has a lot to offer in terms of good role models for family, close family life. It's been incredibly, what I would say, well, it's a term that Raj uses in the film, it's been very chillaxed. It's been, everyone's been getting on really well. I mean, it comes from the top, you know, our producers are great, Amit is great, Roger is brilliant. So there's no feeling of panic. Gareth, our first, is amazing at just not, he doesn't shout, he doesn't kind of hurry people along, he doesn't say, come on people, we've got 5 minutes to wrap. He just gets on with it, he cracks jokes. Our second, Nicole, who's amazing, also said he never shouts at her, never tells her that she's done something wrong. You know, and normally you're constantly looking at ADs kind of going like that because they're being shouted at by someone higher up the chain than them. So then they go and shout at other people. And the people at the bottom of the chain, normally the extras who get shouted at the most by very, very, you know, frustrated runners. But there's been, it literally hasn't been a raised voice on this set. It's unbelievable. And so I said that filters down from the top. Everyone feels relaxed, even when we've been under some quite extreme time pressure, when we've had to leave a set or leave a location and we're not going back. You've got to get a shot in. So it's been, and everyone who's come onto it's gone, oh, it's a great atmosphere on this, a good vibe.